No one sees the pressure you're under, they just see the job getting done. You're juggling labour, money, materials, and countless mistakes by others. No wonder you're stressed. In this week's video, I'll go through how you can stop stress from wrecking your day and how you can manage it when everything's piling up. You know the feeling. You're finally having a decent day or even week. The jobs are ticking along, no one's kicking off, the cash at bank is alright, your shoulders are even starting to drop a little bit. But this is construction, and history tells you a fresh batch of pain is probably being loaded onto a wagon somewhere right now, waiting to test your sobriety to its limits. Let's talk about how to absorb that hit and keep going. Rule number one is to not sweat the small stuff, but rule number two is it's all just small stuff. Construction isn't just a stressful job, it's actually what's known in other industries as chaos management. But we just think that's a normal day. It's not just spinning plates like in other industries. You're expected to spin plates with your hands tied behind your back, and just when you think, all right, I could probably manage that, someone comes over and blindfolds you. What other industry would it be totally normal for a client in a contractual meeting? I don't know exactly when we need labour or how much labour we need, but when I do, I'll give you less than a week's notice and I want them all to be on site when I say. And then as soon as I don't need them, you better get them off the job because I'm not paying for them. That's not like me being extreme. That's just construction. So it's no wonder everyone is stressed. And for me, stress isn't a sign you're not coping. It's just a normal part of being in construction. How can you not be stressed when you're planning weeks ahead, or at least trying to, and your client's just planning the next 2 or 3 hours ahead? You're carrying overheads for a job that you're trying to start, and you're just not getting a start date. You finish a job, when you try and claw some money back in the final account, you just get hitting radio silence from the QS, or your materials are after site, broken, and probably late, and it's still your fault. And then the best one for me is, you carry operatives through the winter, keep them in work even though you're losing money, and then they leave you in the summer because someone's offering an extra pound. It's just a brutal rhythm of win a job, try and survive the job, argue over the job, and then probably get underpaid for the job. Then you just start again while they're all running concurrently. That's just normal in construction. Punishes you for things that you can't control. But you're not weak for feeling stressed. For me, you're strong for just showing up every day and keeping going, because the goal isn't to eliminate stress, because for me in this game you can't, but you can learn to outlast it. You can learn to build systems around it. Ideally you can delegate so you haven't got to carry as much of it. I remember years ago, we took on too many jobs one summer. So we're in Peyton. So obviously there's no shortage of schools and universities to be done in the summer. I just told myself we'd be fine and we'd get through it. Bit of overtime, a couple of more good lads, we'd manage it. But then the jobs we had in, the programme got moved, a few then got accelerated, and all of a sudden we were caught in the middle. And then just as things were getting really stressful with tight programs and awkward specs, two of our lads just walked off site with no notice and said they were leaving. They just sent a text saying, "We found more money, but we're going to another job." Now, it was only two men. When you need 4 or 5 anyway, it hits you as if 20 people have just walked out the building. So you're trying to do everything right, but you're still getting kicked in the bollocks. We did start to think at that point, this could break us here. It was as stressful as anything, but in some ways, we knew really it couldn't get any worse. So we accepted that we might lose everything. So really, it's only up from there. And at this point, we're just running on adrenaline. So we start texting around for lads, putting adverts up, and essentially paying over the odds for wages. And, we knew we were going to lose money, but that was something we could actually afford to lose. When we did get a few people staff for us, we could see a path out. We learned what our capacity was as business owners. And obviously now we run on much tighter, smarter ship. But I wouldn't have known really how that stress that nearly snapped us. I wouldn't have knew what level we could go to without that happening. When you start chatting to other contractors and business owners, I realised that's just part of the game. Sort of every business needs to go through that exact phase to know what it's capable of. Another thing that came out of it, particularly for me, I knew I needed to build something for the future to give me something worth hanging on for when it does get really stressful. And for me, that was buying commercial property so that one day we could live off the rent rather being totally dependent on the business income. Obviously, that doesn't happen overnight, but every year, it gets a little bit easier and you get a little bit closer to that goal. And this leads me to that, over the years, I just kept getting asked the same questions from people how do you price this type of job? What contracts are you using? How do you stay on top of cash flow? So I've just pulled everything together that we've learned from real jobs, real mistakes, into an email series. It's free, and if it saves you from just one cock up, for me it'll have been worth it. So there's a link below to that if you're interested. In terms of how I deal with sort of stress, here's what I do and how it's helped me and the businesses I run to sort of stay on track. So building in a stress buffer. The more unknowns you can sort of eliminate, the less stress you can feel, which I know in this industry isn't easy. Gotta have processes. So whether that's for pricing, for snagging, for chasing invoices, you can't sort of rise to the occasion. You've got to fall to the level of your systems. Really can help you to know that, each stage of your business has got a process. So if you can't be there, it's getting done. Another one is keeping a strong bench, an Excel sheet of lads who you can call upon when you're desperate to get a job over the line. So if you can build a list of operatives and like sort of subcontractors that you trust, the same job can be 10 times easier when you're using people who you know that you can trust and can get you over the line. The next one is knowing your overheads. Most people underestimate just how much their business actually needs to survive each month. Work it out properly. It'll help you price stuff smarter, it'll help you plan better, and more importantly, it'll help you sleep at night. Another one is working for the right people. Some clients and jobs and even people just drain you. If they're not paying enough to justify the stress, just learn to walk away. You'll thank yourself in the long term. The next one is to learn to document everything without even thinking. Stress skyrockets when there's nothing in writing, whether that's instructions, variations, extra work. Write it all down. Your future self will thank you. The last one for me is getting small wins, whether that's sending a final account earlier than you usually do, or finishing a job slightly ahead of schedule. Whatever it may be, it might just be, or simply just catching up with someone that one day can help you further down the line. Whatever that is, them small wins don't half stack up and they can pull you out of a slump. If you're stressed, it's probably good. It means you care. But if it's constant, it means something's not working. Best contractors I know, they're not perfect. They're just calm under fire. They've built systems that protect them from making the same mistake twice. But look, you're never going to eliminate all the chaos, but you can stop it from swallowing your whole business. Start small, fix one broken process at a time, and keep moving, because that's the only way to win in this game, and that's to stay in it. If you're still watching, chances are this stuff is hitting home, and that's exactly who we've made our email series for. It's everything we wish someone had told us in our first few years. If you're holding a business together while it feels like everything's just falling apart, this channel's for you. We're not gurus, we've just made enough mistakes to have a bit of perspective. We've built businesses that, pay well, give us freedom, and don't completely wreck our health. That's what we want for you too. So let us know in the comments if there's anything you want me to talk about. If this video helped, watch another one of our videos here with even more stories with me complaining, and we'll see you in the next one.